Hey everybody, it's DJ with the 10 Hove Realty Group. We're here for episode 1 of Opening Up, and I have a special guest for you guys today, Michael Duru of Duru Clothiers. Mike, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks.
Together, by the way.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have friends of ours on and businesses that are profiting the local community and building and bringing people together. So you're the first person I thought of when I started doing this series.
Thank you.
How's everybody in your world? Healthy and safe?
You know, as I like to call, I'm still looking at the grass growing from this side. So I think that's a good thing. So thank God. Health-wise, everybody's been affected. Everybody knows somebody that's been affected by it. Unfortunately, this has been a pretty traumatic, but I think mental health is just as important. So in that sense, I think we're hanging in there.
For sure. What I was really hoping to cover today and for people to learn about you is to get an idea of what business you run, how the business got started here, how'd you end up in New Jersey, and then talk about some really neat things that you guys have been doing to get yourself through this quarantine period because everybody's business has been affected, and a couple follow-ups from there. So how did you get started in Jersey?
So my father, we're a third-generation tailoring operation. My father always had a little tailor shop right here in Shrewsbury, and in 2001, he was hurt in an auto accident, and we decided that, you know, he needed to retire as a tailor, and I took over his existing small little tailor shop, and we've sort of scaled it. We are so 19 years now running in Shrewsbury. We love this community. This has been a very, very good community for us to raise our families as well. So we're a full made-to-measure clothing store and a tailor shop. So we welcome outside tailoring. We alter gowns. We do essentially all of the necessary work to make sure your clothing fits you properly. Not only the ones that you may have brought outside of our domain, but also in here, we have about a 3,800 square foot clothing store. We normally have 5 tailors on the premises at all given times. We're very efficient at turning things around. So that's really been our niche in the area, has been that, you know, when it has to look good, we're the people that, you know, you would call upon to make sure that it contours your body. So it has been a business that was built upon strong community relationships, a lot of repeat customers, which is also part of the thing that we're hoping for, that when the dust settles, that we could rely on that goodwill that we may have generated all these years to come back to us.
And that's how I found you. I mean, got to be going on over 10 years now. I stumbled into your store.
Yeah, you're a rookie. The oldest customer has been with me for 31 years. So
31. I got a long way to go.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 4 years. Yeah.
But I can attest to being a customer of yours that the customer service level is unbelievable. And if you like the things that I wear when you see me in the videos, guys, it all comes from Michael Duru. If you don't like it, I got it someplace else. So Mike, obviously, the number of people coming into the shop has got to have been reduced. I mean, you can't really operate as a business because I'm assuming you're deemed, according to New Jersey law, non-essential, right?
Right. We had actually an opportunity to call ourselves essential. What we did was, and part of the reinvention of our stores, we were sitting around and saying, listen, we have these talented tailors, we're designers by nature. And we had a conversation with one of the directors of the hospital, I guess it doesn't, I could say Monmouth Medical Center. And they had a desperate need for masks for their frontline workers. And they wanted to be able to do a face mask that covered on top of the N95 that were existing, and for the non-essential frontline personnel, because the hospitals went from only 10% of the staff wearing masks to all of them wearing masks. And there was a really shortage of PPE. So we made, I believe, about 1,500 masks initially and donated it to them. And when and all the frontline, essentially, whether it was the Rumson Police Department, whether it's Middletown or our Shrewsbury Borough, you know, we had nurses calling us and contacting us in tears, asking for, because they were really afraid to wear these masks multiple times. So they wanted a washable version of it. So we created that, and then when we were told to shut down, we shut it down completely, and then we started thinking, wait a minute, you know, there's a need out there for these things. Can we sort of get our tailors to maybe operate at home? We even made the video available for everyone to see how to make this masks, you know, I think in March 21 or 22nd in YouTube, and you can sort of easily see it. But, you know, there was an elastic shortage in the globally. People can find it. So there was really a concern, and then people really relied on that. That's like here we are, we're as American store as it gets. We're like the American immigrant story here. My father immigrated from Turkey as a tailor from Hickey Freeman in Rochester, New York, and we settled in New Jersey all these years ago. All of a sudden, locally made in America products became sort of what I think in vogue again, or at least people appreciated it. Because what happens is I could find you the fabric, but the elastic was coming from China. So we ended up, resourcing out of Japan some elastic, out of Germany some elastic, and we were able to get back into it. And we built a website, DuruEssentials.com, and where we are making masks and offering it to our really immediate area, very reasonable, $10 to $15. And honestly, it's just to cover the currency I've been trading on for the last 3-4 weeks has been goodwill. And I'm hoping that particular goodwill, whatever we've done to try to flatten the curve in our own way, will come back when things become a normalcy. At least that's the belief. The number one thing it has got me to do is I'm here at work almost every day. We're working 6 days almost here, but it keeps me sane and it gives me a purpose to do it. And, the creative side of me has come out as well with these, convertible pocket squares that we've developed that come out of your pocket and become a mask. This is something that's been a really, really a popular item that so far I'm getting a lot of requests for. So you can sort of do that and still wear it as a pocket square.
That's really cool.
So this is going to be something that I think you'll see us sort of offer to many people as we go on. Other than that, I mean, it's just been trying to be socially responsible in the community. We are sort of doing one-on-one appointments, virtual appointments. We've done virtual closet audits where we are sort of going through the client's closets and see what they have. Right. Obviously, interaction of fitting somebody physically has been very much of a limited type of deal. We have done a couple of things in our store anticipating of the opening of it. And frankly, we spent a lot of time in here. We want our health to be just as protected. We installed our buddy from Arctic Air right in Old Bridge, this Ramy Hello system, which is a really cutting edge filtration system that essentially kills 99% of the sneeze germs within 3 feet. So it ionizes the air in here in every 45 minutes for 15 minutes, circulates the air. And really it has a nice little fresh smell to the inside of it. We put a plexi in our front counter area. Obviously we have all the antimicrobial, things that are out there. Even all of our masks that we make, we're using an antimicrobial fabrication. So when a client is going to come in here, they'll be given a mask with our logo on it. They'll have that mask to keep if they want to kind of do it. We have a 2-level store and we have an outside area and a 24 parking lot space. So we think we're going to be able to sort of open up the store a little bit more and have individual appointments in a spread out kind of a deal. So the social distancing, I think, is going to be possible. Mm-hmm. And look, we'll do off hours. I mean, we're probably going to extend our hours. And if a wedding party needed to be here for something, we may have to sort of close the store for them or have it off hours and then figure out a way to do things outdoors even until things get back to normal.
Wow, that's you've got some pretty creative stuff in there. And it sounds to me like if you were to boil that down to one simple explanation, it's just adapting, right? Just finding a way to do things differently so that you can stay open.
Figure out what you're good at and try to see if you can. I mean, I hate to use the word. Look, my business is, when there's no traffic that comes in, I don't really have an online sales because, as you know, it's always been about this personal relationships and develop. Like, I'll know your wardrobe better than you know yours, right? That's the way that our attitude has always been in here. So the mask site, we've added a couple of socks and we've added a couple of things to there to kind of, but what I'm doing right now with my regular clients who are, been with me for a long time in Instagram, we're putting together a package, a box for them. And this particular box is essentially, it's a style box that we're putting together, perfect for the current needs they may have, which is they're essentially having a Zoom meeting like you and I, and they got to go to dinner. So maybe a nice pair of sweats of that are sort of upscale, good looking, a beautiful shirt to kind of go it. So we're putting together, and they'll keep what they're going to keep, and then the rest of it we'll pick it up. We're essentially dropping them off at their doorsteps if they do. We'll do a picture of it being dropped off in their doorstep as well, and so we'll sort of get that out on social media a little bit more. And then either that, or we pick it up from them when they're done with it, or they'll do a fashion show for their family. Really, that's really what it is.
I mean, it's kind of like the idea of a trunk club, but done locally and done with somebody who understands your wardrobe and understands your sizes.
Plus, a lot of our customers like that. We have their measurements on file. We could provide the alterations that are necessary. So this isn't just about, look, I have been very, very vocal about what the big, this whole idea of shop small and save all concept that you and I have been sort of trying to develop and work on. We've been talking about the small businesses. We are the lifeblood in here. And I employ 13 employees in this particular store at a given time. And all of these are productive members of our community and our society. This eagerness for people to all of a sudden, hey, I'll just order from Amazon. I mean, I heard a statistic this morning. I mean, while like other stores are essentially really shuttered and down, Target's online sales was up 250%.
Jeez.
Okay, now
that's 180% of that comes from toilet paper, though.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what it is, but the idea is, hey, can I get it locally? I mean, can you find things locally and take ownership of that the people that are next door neighbors are possibly the people that own the businesses around the corner from you. So that's really the kind of the grassroots movement that we're trying to kind of, American Express for a while did it for like a one little week. Why can't that be a continuation at a long time? And, look, if we can't source it, then we can't source it. But the local community, local restaurants, local everything in it, has to be sort of, I think, redeveloped, or people have to take pride in doing it locally is really what I think the end game is going to be.
I've got to believe, and this isn't just, wishful thinking for you and I hope, that there is going to be a pendulum swing back to that. I mean, if you look at what's happened with restaurants and the whole farm to table movement over the last 10 years, that pendulum has swung back to buying things local, sourcing things local from a health perspective. So you've got to believe that will, if we can make it apparent enough to people, which if it's not apparent enough already because of your own job or because of your friend's job or your mom or your dad's job, that they're employed by a small business, a local small business. And if you don't feed those local small businesses, it's all over. It's all gone. You got to hope that pendulum swing happens naturally right now, but I think it needs a little bit of a push from the rest of us too.
Well, I think the pent-up demand is there, but the fear factor, until you defeat the fear, which means, hey, it's curable, it's, most of the symptoms are mild, that people have to kind of medically, look, I'm not going to take a risk or change my customers. I don't want them to take a unnecessary risk. Obviously that's the health is the preservation of somebody's health is more important than any financial gains I possibly be able to do. But logistically on it, I mean, I think there is, if we trust or expect the politicians to make these sort of decisions in the long run, I think it's just going to be too slow to do. We all have to do our part to figure out how I could make it. And the way I always say, I want to protect myself just as much as the next person that comes into my store. How can I go ahead and do that? Those are the kind of steps that in the short term, I think we have to be able to do. And if there's silver lining that comes out of all of this thing, is that like this new filtration system I have in the store, that maybe the more proper sort of attention paid to, the cleanness of the store and how it becomes and how it's aerated, all that stuff is going to be here to stay for me. And, I could live without shaking somebody's hand, Can I live without hugging somebody? I don't know. There is that. And by the way, one of the things that we figured out, we found the new mouthwash, by the way. The Glen Level 21 happens to be a really great mouthwash. I highly recommend it. But,
think we can get sponsored by them for that?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You actually brought up something that I wanted to touch on there, which is handshakes and what's going to change from a social interaction side of things. It's one silly question that I have for everybody that I'm doing this with, which is, who's the first person you hug when it's all over?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I obviously, I've been isolating with my son, and we have a new dog in the house, so that's been one of those things that we have done, and I think you get it in there. But yeah, I think my brother's little daughter, who is 2 years old, the sweetest little thing in the world, we've been sort of obviously social distancing away from them, and that would be probably the first one for me.
We expect an Instagram photo of that Alexa hug.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely would be I think the first one on it. I have parents who are distant from us. You know, they live overseas now, and you know, you always sort of worry about their well-being and other. But the look, we've had Zoom dinners,
Yeah.
birthday celebrations. That seems to be something we have done. But yeah, I would say that would be the one.
One more question for you. So, first restaurant you go to physically in person once you're allowed to sit down in a restaurant?
Well, that's very, you know, so I have been making a point to get takeout from all the restaurants that I've been frequenting in the past. You know, whether it's Patricia's in Homedale, whether you know, it's Osteria's of the world, or I basically,
I don't. I won't pin you down. It's a diplomatic answer.
no, but no, it's a very valid point. I think probably going to be at this point anywhere that has an outdoor sitting area and a little bit of fresh air deal. So I think Rooney's is probably going to be, Daryl, and you know, we've sort of talked about this, but the outdoor space in any restaurant is going to become a premium, I think, for the next for the summer. And so that's sort of that mood that it puts you in when you have that fresh air coming in, and you feel sort of comfortable in that environment. Plus, I miss that Bloody Mary and the Angry Lobster. You know, so I think that's probably where it's going to be.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to leave people with before we wrap up?
You know, look, all I could say is there's enough emphasis made on physical health. I think our mental health. I mean, I'm not really, you know, again, not to get political about it. I didn't really like the parks being closed. I think that was a little bit of a mistake. People need to get out and get some fresh air. But I hope that the decency of humans, you know, that what we're about, our neighbors, and how it is, that little distance that has sort of been put on, like you're so afraid to even acknowledge people, and I hope that just sort of goes away, and then we get back to saying, hey, you know, we're all flesh and blood, we're all parents, we're all kids of somebody. That gets back to that normalcy. That's the biggest part of it that I miss. Handshakes of the world and people sort of having a little bit of a, you know, distance from you. I think we could live with all that. I could live with not traveling on a plane for a period of time. But the social interactions that we've had, where I see a buddy of mine and, you know, when I want to have a sit down and have some sort of a meal or drink, I hope we could get back to that normalcy sooner than later.
Me too. Well, thanks. I appreciate you hopping on. For anybody who's interested in grabbing those masks, it's duruessentials.com. I'll make sure we share that link with people as well. But for the time being, we appreciate what you guys are doing to help the local community, and I'll be back in the shop as soon as I'm allowed.
Thank you, my friend. All the best to the family as well.
Thanks a lot, Mike. All right. See you soon.